Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. It is game day for the Herons. It's the latest game these Herons have ever played, November 29th, after Thanksgiving, and that's because Inter Miami is about to play for the Eastern Conference Final and a trip to the MLS Cup. I'm your host, Scotty. I'm here with my co-host, Saur. We're about an hour from kickoff. My friend, how are you feeling?
It's too late for me. I just want the game to start. I want the game to finish, and for us to celebrate Inter Miami going into the final. I can't wait this long. This is too much. I'm getting nervous. I'm getting excited. I just want to see the boys play. I know you've had a good day of sports. I've had a good day of relaxing on my holiday, but now I'm ready to see Inter Miami kick some butt. How are you feeling, man?
I feel invincible right now. I cannot imagine anything ruining this day, which means I cannot imagine Inter Miami losing this game. They are playing NYCFC, the boogeyman of Inter Miami's short history. They are coming off a 4-0 victory over said boogeyman in late September. But before that, there have been plenty of games where Inter Miami has been the favorite, they have been the better team, and they have not come away with 3 points. Whether it's an early red card, whether it's a last-minute goal against the run of play for NYCFC, whether it's an incredible performance by their goalkeeper, whether it was Sean Johnson or Matt Freese, this has been the most difficult team to just be better than and win. And that's who Inter Miami gets to play here. And here's the thing. They are the favorites tonight. They are the better team tonight. They are the healthier team tonight. Their best players are in form. But that's exactly when they have dropped points and dropped results to this NYCFC team over the last few years, including with Lionel Messi on the field. That said, Lionel Messi is in the best form of his Inter Miami career, possibly the best form of any player I've ever seen on a week-to-week basis. And here we are with a chance to go to the MLS Cup final. Everything we expected has now become, in the moments before the game, everything we hope for and want. It is no longer an expectation. It is all excitement, fandom, and ready to go. I am nervous. I am excited nervous, but I am nervous because any little thing can change everything in a game like this. So we haven't gotten the lineups yet, as far as I can tell. I think there is at least somewhat of a question mark about who will be starting next to Lionel Messi in this game. Javier Mascherano announced in his press conference this week that he already knew who it was going to be. He had not told the team at that point. You would have to imagine, with the way that Matteo Silvetti has played, that he will remain in the starting 11, but I would not put it past them to go back to Luis Suarez. Before we get the lineup, and as we're preparing for it, what do you expect to see tonight? What do you want to see tonight? And how good are you feeling about Javier Mascherano in this moment?
It's kind of scary because up until this point, Inter Miami fans have been coasting through on the assumption that whatever happens now is extra, right? We were expecting to beat Nashville, had a little bit of a hiccup in that second game, but eventually got through very comprehensively. Against Cincinnati, I think everyone had their hands folded, praying to all gods of football, including Lionel Messi, hoping that he pulls up a rabbit out of his hat and we beat Cincinnati. We do that comprehensively as well. There's been some really good talking points. It's been a fun 4 games. But now this is normal service resuming. Inter Miami is back at home. They are the clear favorites to win this game. There is no reason that Inter Miami should lose. And if Inter Miami does end up losing, it's going to be because they don't show up tonight. And I think that is the worst place to potentially be. I expect Inter Miami to show up. I expect Inter Miami to put in a good performance. And if that happens, if they do the basics right, if they do everything that they are asked to do that by the coaching staff for 90 minutes, there's no reason that Inter Miami can't make it past this NYCFC team, which is a good team. But you mentioned they are a boogeyman team for this Inter Miami side. We have probably statistically the worst record against NYCFC. But one thing that you didn't take into account when you were discussing some of the history was this is not for points. This is for a place in the MLS Cup final. And those players know that. You and I know that. And this is going to be for all the glory. You win this and you win the next game, and that's it. Haters are going to shut up. This is very important. Again, the most important game in Inter Miami history. We seem to be saying that every week now. So I like to be in this place. I like the fact that Inter Miami is the favorites in this game, but that means there's no excuses. Absolutely no excuses. You have to go out and win this game. It doesn't matter what the starting 11 is. It doesn't matter what your tactics are. It does not matter whether Suarez starts over Silvetti. You have to dispatch this New York City FC side. You are the better team. Play like it tonight.
I want to be fair to NYCFC. They are a good team. I think this is a team with the talent of a 60-point team. They finished just shy of that in 56, but again, this is one of the most competitive Eastern Conference tables that we've seen in the last decade. So this feels like a 60-point team, and traditionally in the MLS, if you can get to 60 points, you can beat anyone. There was a period of this season, 5 or 6 week stretch, where they were the best team in MLS, at least arguably. A couple losses down the stretch, maybe take that away from them, but they've been exceptional on the road. I think they've won 9 of their last 10 road games, or at least have gotten points in 9 of their last 10 road games. This is a good squad. Now, they are without their leading goal scorer in Alonso Martinez. They are out with a key midfielder. They are without a key midfielder in Keaton Parks. Couple injuries, so they are not fully healthy, like I think you would say about Inter Miami. But they still have Nico Fernandez, and they still have the big man in net, and that has sometimes been the bugaboo for Inter Miami. Can you beat a goalkeeper on his day? You would think with Lionel Messi, they can make that happen with the way Silvetti is playing with Baltasar, with Allende, with Segovia and Luis Suarez off the bench, or potentially Matteo Silvetti off the bench. You would think that you will create enough opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net, but Matt Freese is the U.S. men's national team #1 for a reason. He is very good, possibly the best goalkeeper in the MLS this season. So this is not, I don't want to make it seem like this should be a blowout. This is a quality team worthy of the distinction, but this is Inter Miami at its absolute peak of its powers. It's Lionel Messi at the peak of his powers. It's Inter Miami at home where they are very good. And this is a team that seems like it's gelling as well as it has all season in the crucial moment.
It almost feels like all stars have aligned up for this moment. And you're right, this is not going to be a blowout. I expect this to be a very difficult game. NYC is not going to be just an easy team to sit on the park and be washed aside. They proved against Philadelphia that they can play a different style of football. They can make it count when it matters. I was fully expecting Inter Miami to go to Philadelphia for this particular game, but kudos to NYCFC to come out and actually win that game. And that means they're there for the win as well. They would want to prove something to everyone. And what better way to get to the MLS Cup final than by beating Inter Miami, who are now the favorites? So this is going to be a difficult game for Inter Miami, and they're going to have to be switched on for 90 minutes. And I expect this to be an all-out war, not in terms of physicality of it, but how difficult it's going to be for Inter Miami to get the result tonight.
Okay, I do have the starting 11, I think.
Correct.
It is Rocco Rios Novo in goal. It's Jordi Alba at left back, Noah Allen at left-sided center back, Maxi Falcone at right-sided center back, Cello Weigant at right back, Ian Frey available off the bench but not in the starting 11, Rodrigo de Paul and Busquets in the midfield, Tadeo Allende and Baltasar Rodriguez out wide, Lionel Messi as the number 10, and his partner, Matteo Silvetti. Same lineup as last week. The only change from their last 2 games is obviously Ian Frey. Got the injury last week. He's available off the bench today, but not in the starting 11, which is the same lineup as last week. Top line thoughts.
It's interesting because I'm looking at the Inter Miami official website graphic and they're doing something completely funky. So I don't even know what they're dealing with. They have a 3-man back line with Sergio Busquets there. And I'm thinking to myself, when have we done this in the playoffs? But I like it. I like the fact that Javier Mascherano is being consistent. It feels like maybe Ian Frey is not fully ready, or Javier Mascherano is very comfortable with how he saw Cello Weigant perform in that last game. I will still say that for me is the biggest concern, the biggest talking point. But I didn't expect Luis Suarez to start this game. I think that storyline has sort of moved on. and we now have Silvetti as our regular starter. And for good measure, he's performed brilliantly in 2 games. It's going to be exciting to have two dynamic players in Baltazar and Silvetti against this NYCFC side. Might I remind you, the last time we played both of them together against NYCFC, we beat them 4-0. Baltazar had a goal as well. Of course, Suarez was starting in that game and Allende was on the bench, I believe. But I think this is a phenomenal lineup to take on NYCFC. We are looking good in the midfield with Rodrigo de Paul finally understanding his role and contributing to it. I think the legs next to Messi offer a lot. So broad top line thoughts, love it. I'm glad Javi Mascherano is not overcomplicating it. He made that decision to drop Suarez and he's sticking to his guns. Now it's time for the players to show and win back his trust, and not win back, but show that this is the reason that they've been chosen to play this game.
This Messi as a false nine thing seems like it's brought a new level of competency out of this team. 2 games, 4-1 result and a 4-0 result. No, I'm sorry, 2 4-0 results as Inter Miami advances into the second round and then advances into the conference finals. Is this playing the hot hand? Is this playing the opponent? These are my best 11? What do you think?
This is the best 11. This is the best Inter Miami has looked since, I think, last season when we were on fire. And even then, I don't think we looked this comfortable across the board, across the 11. We're keeping clean sheets. Defensively, we look fine. Offensively, we look fantastic. And the outstanding bit, or the outlier from last season's performances, which I think were very good as well, is we're not putting ourselves in defensive danger. Now, I don't want to jinx anything, but it looks like Inter Miami has found the right balance between offense and defense, and that's what it is. It's the most balanced side. It's the side that gets the best out of Lionel Messi. It's the side that allows us to be a little bit more confident in the midfield with a few more legs. And yes, this is the starting 11 that's, I think, at this point in time in the best form to get the result that Inter Miami wants. And I wouldn't necessarily worry about the opponent at this point in time. I think you have to impose yourself on any game that you play. So even if we were playing Philadelphia, I would have gone with the same lineup. And I think this is the right call. This is playing Inter Miami's best chance to win this game.
Yeah, I think Inter Miami last week had to change something from what they did in the regular season against Cincinnati. This, I think, is much more of, we think this is the best 11 to win this game. What we saw from Matteo Silvetti, and I guess the big question mark was going to be, does Suarez go back into the starting 11 or does he stick with Matteo Silvetti? From what we saw with Silvetti last game, and really, I mean, his entire time in Inter Miami really has been so impressive. But for him to do it in the big moment and for him to be so clutch and so clinical in the biggest moment on the road, I think you earned a ton of trust. We have said some dangerous things about this kid over the last 172
week
hours about how impressed we are. So for him to be in the starting 11, I think is totally worthwhile. I'm not sure either of us imagined we'd be here a month ago, but it's definitely, at least to me, feels like the right decision. It's what I would have done. And it allows you to play much more of a 4-3-3 shape, which gives you, I think, better numbers in the midfield. It allows Jordi Alba to be, it forces him to do less going forward. He doesn't have to be the offense down that left-sided channel, and it gives you a more balanced structure. And when you pair that with what we saw from Tadeo Allende over the last 6 weeks, what we've seen from Lionel Messi, you are creating plenty of offense, but it gives you a little bit of stability through the midfield and defensively. And then you talk about Rocco Rios, Novo, and goal. I am more than happy to praise Rocco for his performances. The numbers in terms of team stats between before he came into the lineup and after he came into the lineup are ridiculous. They are so much better at winning soccer games with him in goal. And it's not even because he's making amazing saves. It just happens to be the case. But he is also much better at making saves. So I think defensively you feel pretty good, especially with the way Maxi Falcone is playing and especially with Noah Allen's recovery pace on transition opportunities. You feel good about the midfield with how Rodrigo de Paul's played since these playoffs started. And, of course, with Lionel Messi up front, how could you not expect to score multiple goals?
Yeah, I would have lost my house if you would have asked me a month ago to bet on who's going to start, Suarez or Silvetti. Um, so I'm glad I didn't do that, and I'm glad you didn't ask me that question. Let's start at the back. I think Rocco has been a major upgrade on Astari, and over the course of now an extended period, that has come to light. The statistics have proven that, but now it's more than just the statistics, it's the eye test as well, and the results that are backing up the fact that Rocco Rios Novo brings a level of stability in the back line that Ustari did not have. I don't know if Rocco's the ultimate keeper that this team needs, but so far so good. He has been performing at a high level that Inter Miami need him to be, and I'm just glad that he's starting in goal. With Maxi Falcone and Noah Allen, there seems to be, I think, just an overarching understanding of how the two want to play. It's not perfect, but both of them have some sort of an understanding of, okay, these are our weaknesses. This is how we want to cover those weaknesses. I thought Noah Allen in the last game against Cincinnati was much better than he has been recently. Not perfect, but getting back to the best that we've seen from him. Maxi Falcone has been stupendous. I don't know if I've used that adjective for him before, but I think I'm going to use that going forward. But what a player he's turned out to be in the playoffs. So one more performance like that, and then one more, please, Maxi, and you might actually be my MVP for this playoff run. My concern is only going to be Chelo Weigand. I think that defensive backline has looked very good over the last few weeks, and Weigand has been an outlier. Listen, he got rinsed a couple of times at the start against Cincinnati, but he eventually got into it. Today, I think he faces a less of a test, but a different sort of a test. This New York front line is no joke. They're very good, and they score goals. So he has to be on his game tonight. He can't just be a floater and just be a passerby.
Yeah, Hannes Wolf is going to be starting on that left side for NYCFC. That's the matchup for Chelo Weigand. Hannes Wolf is a burner. He's a very athletic, not an exceptional goal scorer. So it's more about staying in the right position and preventing sort of team buildup through that left side. But Nico Fernandez, who's going to start for them, is a floating number 9. He's their best goal scorer. He was, I think, the player that transformed their season. When they signed him in the summer, they went on that stretch that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. They were one of the best teams in the MLS over that stretch, and it was because Nico Fernandez came in and transformed that team. Now, again, they had guys that aren't going to be available for them today, specifically Alonso Martinez, who was their leading goal scorer this year, as also key factors in that run for them. But those two, I think, are the guys to pay attention to. Hannes Wolf specifically because he's going up against
Chelo
Weigand. Hold on, the lineup just changed. So let me double check and make sure I have NYCFC's lineup right. But either way, I agree with you. Chelo Weigand, first 15 minutes, I think a little scary. After that, I thought he was fine, and he hadn't played in a month really. So if you have 15 minutes of warm-up period to get right in the playoffs in that level of intensity, and then you come back the next game you just played a week ago, you feel much better. Like I think that's totally in the wheelhouse for Chelo Weigand in this game.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the lineup is, and I think Hans Wolf is no longer in the lineup. It's actually Ojeda, Fernandez, Maxi Morales, Kevin O'Toole in the middle, and then they added O'Neal instead of Hannes Wolf. So that's an interesting setup. I don't know if they're playing a 3 at the back now.
Let's wait for them to officially announce it, and then we can come back to NYC.
It's on the Inter Miami official website, so that's the one I'm looking at.
Let's get back to Miami. That midfield, Rodrigo de Paul, was great last game, and maybe one of his most impressive games. This playoff stretch, he's been, on average, as good as he's been at any point at Inter Miami. And when he plays like that, our midfield becomes ultra dynamic and effective.
He is partnered up with Sergio Busquets, and it's so interesting. As a case study, we should look into what's changed over the last few weeks, because at the start, that double pivot was just not working. I don't know whether they've built the chemistry, the understanding of where Sergio Busquets needs to be, how Rodrigo de Paul needs to play, and that has somehow managed to really get into the rhythm of things. But the midfield has started to look good, better. Sometimes it can be concerning, as was the case against Nashville in the second game. But the last game against Cincinnati was Rodrigo de Paul at his finest. He was everywhere on that pitch. He was pressing, he was getting the ball defensively, he was making line breaking passes. I really enjoyed his performance. Can he replicate that again? I think we need him to. This is a decent NYC midfield, but not one that I expect to be dominating into Miami entirely. I think they've got a couple of players. It'll be interesting to see where Haak is playing. You mentioned Park is not going to be in the midfield because he's injured. Kevin O'Toole might actually be playing midfield because he's played in that position a couple of times. So I don't know what the setup's going to be. I hope the idea is not to outnumber into Miami in the midfield, because that's actually a really good tactic from NYCFC if they actually manage to do that and if they're going with that. So I don't know what Janssen wants to do as such, but it'll depend on which Rodrigo de Paul shows up tonight.
I count 5 defenders, 1 midfielder / defender, 1 midfielder, and then 2.5 attacking players in this lineup. And if you want to call Maxi Morales a midfielder, I wouldn't begrudge you, although
Hold it
he's
against
certainly
me,
number 10.
Fair.
This is an ultra defensive lineup. If this is truly the 11, they have guys off the bench that can turn this into an attacking game. Hannes Wolf, as we mentioned, Julian Fernandez, Maximo Carrizo. But this starting 11 is, I don't know if they've had a defensive lineup. They could get more defensive than this.
I think you're absolutely right in the sense that this is probably the most defensive that NYCFC can go. Sorry, I'm looking at my lineup from the Philadelphia game that NYC put out, and I'm looking at the lineup that they've put out tonight, and it's just one person that's changed, but that's just added a completely different dimension, because I think Kevin O'Toole and Gray are going to be playing in the midfield, and then they have the back line of Gustavo Martins and Haak, and then I think their plan is to just sit back.
Well, Gray would be like a right back, maybe a right wing back.
Should be, right? But the Int Miami website is saying something different. So let's not trust that. Let's assume what our understanding would be. And you're right. I think Kevin O'Toole, Gray as the left wing back, right wing back, and then they've got the 3 middle of Martins, Haak, and let me have this. Well, no, maybe it is O'Neal. There you go. That's the one.
I think this is a super defensive lineup for NYCFC.
I'm so confused.
Maxi Morales is the guy who scored the goal for them in their last game against Philadelphia, the 1-0 victory on the road for them. He's a veteran, experienced playmaker who's very smart. If you're asking him to play in his own half of the field, I don't know if he's going to be ultra effective. He's really good at making like clever runs and occupying clever spaces in and around the box. That's what his specialty is. If he's your only other attacking player, I guess Agustin Ojeda is on the field for them as well. But Nico Fernandez becomes the one guy that you can count on. I mean, this feels like they're going to bunker until 65th minute and then see where the game's at, really.
I think this NYC team is more than that. They should be able to actually try and play some football. If that's not the plan, then I'm very surprised, because they've had a really good attack. And this season they've looked good because they play well on the transition. They press higher up than they usually did before last season. And they tend to win the ball in good spaces. And then their USP that I've written down in my analysis is their front line takes up some really interesting positions. They take up spaces that can confuse the opposition back line. They don't have an outright striker. Of course, they're missing their main number 9, but Nico Fernandez, Maxi Morales, they just pop up in different positions, even Agustin Ojeda. Like, they interchange. So the fluidity in their front line is actually very interesting. Now, if you are playing from a position that's like behind the back line and you're actually playing in a low block, you're taking away your entire X factor as an offensive line. So I hope their plan is not to bunker and counter, because then they might just try and get one goal and end the game there.
Well,
and that can be a really boring watch.
I would be fair. I watched that Philadelphia game. They scored a goal in the first half, and Philadelphia was the team that was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and could not get the breakthrough. I think they finished with 18 shots in that game, and of course 0 goals. I think they might play for like 10 minutes and then really revert back to a defensive setup, and that will mean for Inter Miami scoring early is
so
everything.
Important. Yeah. I didn't want to say that because I feel like every time I've said that, Inter Miami concedes a goal in the first 5 minutes. But that's the key, man. I think for Inter Miami, the key is to create as many opportunities as you potentially can. The reason Inter Miami's looked so good is because they've just been suffocating the opposition. There's chances, there's runs in behind. I think the last time we played NYCFC, the one thing that stood out to me was the vertical runs that Baltazar and Silvetti were making. I remember Sergio Busquets found a literally front to back line breaking pass into Messi and he chipped it over the keeper. He found another ball into Messi who found it into Baltazar. So those line breaking passes were so good. And I think that's what Inter Miami needs to do tonight as well. It might be difficult with the lower block that they're going to face, but you have to try and create opportunities and play fast attacking football. Don't just ponder the ball around, pass it around the back, and then try and see how you can create an entryway. Hit them quickly, hit them on the transition. But I don't know if that'll actually work tonight if NYC decides to actually bunker down and hold the game.
Rodrigo de Paul, if this is the case, is going to be huge in recovery and defensive transition. Because we know Busquets, if you beat him with space, you can beat him. He's very good one-on-one defending, but if you can get the ball out in space, you can run past him. Noah Allen, very good recovery runner, but for Maxi Falcone, he's been great against opposition strikers, whether it was Denke, whether it was Brenner, whether it was Evander, whether it was Sam Surge in the last round, whether it's been some of the other strikers we had to face over the last few weeks of the season. Nico Fernandez, more of like an attacking midfielder / winger / playmaker who's going to be playing as the 9 because they don't have a true number 9 for this moment. That also, I think, is an interesting wrinkle. Falcone has won with physicality, but if you're playing this game in NYCFC's half, I'm not sure he's going to be able to sort of enact his presence like he has wanted to over the last and done successfully over the last few months.
Yeah, I think the last few games that we played, it's almost been like not 50-50 possession, but the opposition has actually come out and tried to play, and that's benefited Inter Miami. So maybe Pascal Janssens looked at those games, saw how much control Inter Miami had in possession, and then out of possession, how they were pressing as well. So maybe he thought to himself, let them not press us in dangerous positions and get the ball. Let's nullify that entirely. Does that make you feel a little concerned that Luis Suarez is not starting if we're not able to find the spaces in behind? Because Silvetti and Baltazar are not necessarily good. Well, they're good with link-up play, so I think that would be interesting to see how they unlock lockdown defense. But it's kind of unproven.
I asked you at the beginning, is this a lineup because it's your best 11, or is this a lineup to break down or to beat this NYCFC team? I think if we're right about how NYCFC is going to play the first hour of this game, I think you do want Suarez on the field, and I think you want Yannick Bright on the field also for those recovery transition opportunities. But like, I get it, going out with your best 11 or the 11 you think is your best. Like, I have no problem with that. That is going out with your best 11, not going out to beat this specific opponent. Also, we don't know exactly what
NYC is going to do.
What Inter Miami prepared for this week. Were they expecting NYCFC to do this? I don't know if we know that. But a couple of things, just looking at this NYCFC lineup, not a lot of goals. Nico Fernandez is the guy. Max Morales scored last week against Philadelphia, and it was the difference maker, but he's not a big goal scorer. And then the rest of this team, there are very few goals. There's very few danger. There's very few shots from most of the rest of this team, which is putting a lot of pressure on Nico Fernandez. And I think they're trying to win this game 1-0 on the road.
Yeah, Alonso Martinez had 19 goals and he's not playing. That takes away 19 goals for you. I think it comes down to Nico Fernandez and stopping him from taking up quick positions. I still think this NYC team can hurt Inter. They have, and they will have a sniff. It's not going to be as straightforward because they can get a set piece that they might hurt Inter Miami on. They've got some creative pieces. Maxi Morales, as old as he is, well, he's Messi's age, so he's not that old, I guess. But he is a veteran of the game. He is experienced. He knows exactly what to do in these games. And even if it's a 1-0, 2-1 sort of a game that they're trying to prepare for, I think that's fine. If I was NYCFC, I would also maybe go with that. But they can still score if Inter Miami is not careful. I think Inter Miami is more than ready to win this game, even with this lineup. And what actually heartens me is whatever way NYC comes out to play, if they are offensive, that's fine. I think Inter Miami is more than capable of going toe-to-toe, if not better. And if they come out defensive, Inter Miami has the options to see the game for 45 minutes, how it plays out, and then put on the pieces that we need to. And it's kind of nice to have Suarez as a bench piece to change the game if that needs to be the case. So I'm not concerned too much. I think this Inter Miami team should be prepared and ready to go out and take the game to NYCFC. I just think it adds a certain element to this that'll be very interesting to see.
Nico Fernandez, again, he joined the team in the summer window, so he has not played all 34 games, but he only had 5 goals this season. Alonso Martinez, who is unavailable for this game, had 19. He was their big goal scorer in the MLS. Hannes Wolf, who we've already mentioned more than I thought we would in this episode, he had 11 goals this season in the MLS. He's their other big threat. And so when we talk about the second half, Alonso Martinez, I think, is the guy that we need to be sort of paying attention to. Man, if you're
Alonso Martinez.
I'm sorry.
You mean Hannes Wolf?
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Apologies. As we look at this 11, if that's the case, Nico Fernandez, very good. Noah Allen is the pacey guy that will keep up with him and at least make it difficult for him to create offense. I know some people are frustrated with Noah Allen's playing out of the back. I know that he's been targeted on the press a couple times and had some difficult situations that he's found himself in. But in terms of raw recovery pace and not letting Nico Fernandez get one-on-one opportunities, him being on the field and on that side of the field, because Nico Fernandez is a right-sided player who wants to cut, or he's left-footed, likes to play on the right and cut in centrally to his left foot. That's where Noah Allen's going to be. I really do think that's like the perfect chess piece to have in response to Nico Fernandez. And then, as we already mentioned, it's can they track the runners, especially Maxi Morales, out of the midfield. And that's going to be Rodrigo de Paul and Sergio Busquets. Then you have Falcone back there. I think this game might come down to can Inter Miami pop one in the back of the net. And if they can do it early, like it will change everything, I think.
You're talking about a team that scored 8 goals in the last 2 games. So that's such an interesting statement, but I think you're right. With regards to Noah Allen, it's such an interesting perspective because I think it's a little bit of a harsh assessment of how he's performed over the last few games, or maybe fans are overanalyzing his ability to play out from the back. The crux of what he's supposed to do, and that is defend, I think he's done brilliantly. He's gone up against the likes of Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar, shut them down. He went up against Evander, Brenner, and Denki, and he had some really clutch moments against these players. So when it comes to his raw defensive ability to make those recovery runs, to put the attacking player in the wrong area so that he doesn't have the straight angle to shoot, to just take on those players one-on-one and win that battle, I think he's done more than enough. And I think he's earned our trust in this case. And I like the fact that him and Maxi Falcone have been paired up and locked down that position entirely. So I'm not too concerned about Nico Fernandez trying to get one on us defensively or offensively, because our defense seems to be well matched up with that. I think the problem is probably going to happen if Inter Miami is pushed too high up and trying to chase that one goal, and we leave our backline completely exposed, where NYCFC can have a 2v1 sort of a situation. That's when I think we'll struggle more. When it's a 1 versus 1, I do think our defenders are more than capable of taking charge in this case. They've done so really well against some really difficult opposition so far. So I don't think I feel too concerned about it. I just feel like Inter Miami might leave themselves too exposed in the back line. And let's be honest, Noah Allen alone, if he's facing, let's say, Hannes Wolf in the second half and Nico Fernandez running at him, there's only as much he can do. So you have to protect your back line as well. You can't just rely on them to get the work done or just recover every time your team is in a difficult position.
Inter Miami, since October 4th game against the New England Revolution, they've scored 4 goals, 4, 5, 3, 1, 4, and 4. That one being the 2-1 loss to Nashville in the second game of the first round. They also scored 3 goals in the game before that in that 5-3 Chicago loss. I think the last time they faced a low block was the game before that, in which they got a 1-1 draw against Toronto FC. So Inter Miami has been scoring a lot of goals, but they've been going up against teams that have tried to come out and play against them.
Exactly.
And so I think we should keep that in mind. Not only is Inter Miami not particularly well versed, they've played a lot of Nashville and they played a lot of Cincinnati, and neither team was particularly deep in how they were playing. And Inter Miami took advantage of that pretty effectively. But this is going to be, I think, a different style. I also wonder if they're going to come out and try and press for the first 5-10 minutes of the game to try and establish themselves. I don't think they have the back line to do this. Their best center back, Thiago Martins, is not the quickest. I think this is just a really tough situation for NYCFC. And because it's soccer, if Inter Miami can get that first goal, it could be sort of a runaway situation where they're desperate to pull things out. And all of a sudden you see what you saw last week where Inter Miami's going to have opportunities in behind, and then you can kind of pull this game away. I think this lineup for NYCFC has changed my opinion on how this game's going to go.
I think it's going to be very hard. It's going to be a tough watch because NYC is probably going to... You know what is going to happen? The way I'm envisioning this with NYC's lineup, I think they're going to be really solid defensively and then get the better of Inter Miami on transitions. And we're going to suffer in that way because so far we've played oppositions who are a lot more exposed. I'm not saying that's going to make us lose, but I think we're going to see some vulnerabilities from Inter Miami that they haven't necessarily shown in the last few games because we've played opposition who also want to play with the ball at their feet and more expansive. So the spaces that we've enjoyed so far, the opportunities to run in behind, I don't think those are going to be as readily available tonight. And Inter Miami might actually struggle to create those chances. If we're not quick with our passes, if we're not making those interchangeable linkages, I think we're going to suffer in front of goal. That's where I want someone like Telasco Segovia to play. That's where I want someone like maybe Luis Suarez to play as well. So it's very interesting how the entire nature of the starting 11 has changed my opinion and what the lineup should have been. But it's okay. We'll see how it plays out.
You know who else has a role that I think is tough to define in this situation? Tadeo Allende.
Yeah.
So good at making those runs in behind. And of course, if he's finishing the chances that we create for him, then he's a superstar. I don't think there's going to be a lot of chances in behind, especially on that left side of their defense. They're just playing center backs who are not going to get caught up too high. I do think that could create more room for Messi in between the midfield and the back line, but for Allende, it becomes tough. Now, can he transition his game, which we've seen a few times this year, to be option at the back post on crosses, whether it's from Jordi Alba or Baltasar Rodriguez or Messi? Because we have seen him do it a couple times, earned a huge second yellow in the Leagues Cup semifinal. He's done it a few times where if there's not space in behind in the normal run of play, can he be a vertical option on headers from the left side crossing to that back post? I am curious if that's going to be one of the things that Inter Miami goes to in this game, because I think that's the one strength that Allende has that could translate into this type of game. If not, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to see from Tadeo Allende in this game.
Interesting you asking Chelo Egan to put in those balls
No,
from the
Jordi
right-hand
Alba.
side, like Ian Frey
Jordi
did, but also, yes. So every time I think Allende has scored has been from a cross from that right-hand side from Ian Frey, which is interesting. But yeah, Jordi Alba putting those crosses, I think just generally Inter Miami will have to expand the field a little bit because they need to stretch it out. But the more I think about it, I do want to give credit to Inter Miami's players recently as well. There's been some good linkages between Silvetti and Messi, those 1-2 passing that allows a runner to get the better of the defensive setup. So maybe those quick interchanges are something that will actually work in our favor. This Inter Miami team is playing really well with their chemistry flowing. So maybe that's something that works out in our favor. I don't want to be all down and out just because NYC has put out this lineup. And maybe they come out and trying to play more expansive. That I think works for Inter Miami.
I think this, I'm not trying to be down. I think this makes me more excited because it means they think and they see on film that this Inter Miami team is better. And they think this is the way they have to hold them down.
Yeah.
And then it's about, can we get Messi in and around the box with the ball at his feet? And can we do it 3 times or can we do it 15 times? And if it is 3 times in the first half, then we have guys like Suarez who you can bring on in the second half. And Telascos to go. Like, we have guys that we can sort of play with to get what we want out of this team. I'm very excited about this team, about this game. If NYCFC came out and said, we're going to play you man for man, like, I would think they have a level of confidence in their players to go out and do this. I think this shows maybe not a lack of confidence, but that they have to play a certain style if they want to see this through.
Which is a great place to be as a team in the conference finals, because that means you are the clear favorites and the better team, at least on paper. I think Jordi Alba is another one of those players that I think has a really good and important role to play in this game, whether it's supporting Messi in the middle, whether it's going out wide and putting those balls into the box. There's just going to be a lot of poking and prodding happening if we're correct about NYC's setup. And if that's the case, then there's nobody better to poke and prod than Jordi Alba. And I think he's going to have a big role to play tonight as well.
Something we should mention, NYCFC, and Miami King brings it up in the chat, NYCFC will play physically, he says, and try to make us frustrated. So Common Focus will win for sure. I do think that is one of the hallmarks of this NYCFC team, and maybe even specifically these players. They play hard, and they are not afraid to be physical. So if the referee will let them do that in the kind of way we saw in Nashville, that will be an advantage towards NYCFC. I think I saw the referee for this game earlier this week, and I can't remember his name. I think it's John Anderson. He is not a guy that's going to put up with a lot of physicality, and he won't be afraid to give out a yellow card and or a penalty if he feels like it's a penalty. I'm not going to call him super soft, but he's not the type of guy, I don't think. Obviously, the situation can sometimes affect that, but I don't think he's going to be the guy that just lets each team just beat each other up in a prize fight. I think he's going to be calling things, which I do think helps Inter Miami and maybe does make this a little bit harder for NYCFC.
Yeah, I just don't want the ref to define the game, right? I think it's John Freeman who's refereeing the game.
Thank you,
John Freeman. And I just don't want the ref to be the one who takes center stage. It's the conference finals. Let the teams play a little bit. Of course, we don't want it to be as physical as Nashville was. Make the right calls, be consistent, but don't be trigger happy on giving the yellows and the reds in such a big game. So I hope this comes down to 11 versus 11 rather than the referee making the call that swings the game in one favor or another.
Okay, this is the bench for Inter Miami. Oscar Ustadi is going to serve as goalkeeper number 2 in this game. Defensively, they've got Toto Aviles, they've got Gonzalo Lujan, and they've got Ian Frey as options off the bench. In the midfield, you've got Yannick Bright and Telasco Segovia. And then up top, you got Fafa Biko, Alan Obando, and of course, number 9, Luis Suarez. You have everything you need here. No excuses. No excuses. Whether it's to shut this game down, whether it's to get more legs in the midfield, whether it's to put more guys up front to try and create some offense and break down a low block, you have what you need here. There's really no excuses in that regard. So I mean, there's just no excuses, man. This team is ready. They are in good form. They are healthy. NYC is not healthy. They're not in peak form like they were 10 weeks ago. I think you got to feel good as an Inter Miami fan going into this game.
Should we wager whether we see Alan Obondo again for the rest of the season? For the next 2 games?
Well, I'm sure. I will say no. You can take the yes.
Sure, fine. I'll bet my house, right? No, I think you're right. This bench is it puts me in a good mood because, as you said, it's got different solutions available for Javi Mascherano. You have the defensive options in Yannick Bright. You have Telasco Segovia, who can change the game coming off the bench, which we actually never expected, but he's very good at doing that. And then you've got Luis Suarez, the atom bomb that you need to drop on the NYC backline if they're just hunkering down. So it's a good place to be as an Inter Miami fan when you have so many options on the bench. And I think Javi Marchand is going to eventually have to use them. This looks like NYC is trying something different that Inter Miami may not be prepared for. And that means he may need to dip into his back pocket and pull out a few cards. And he has those cards available. So let's hope Javi Marchand makes the right call and the right moves when it matters the most.
I also want to just for NYCFC fans recognize that they've won a lot of 1-goal games this year and a lot of close, tight games. So they are good at finding themselves on the winning end of tight games. So for Inter Miami, I think it's if you can get that goal early, you will open them up, and then you can put the floodgates on and kind of see this game out. If you can't get a goal early and somehow NYCFC is able to get one, then it becomes a pretty scary proposition, and they can shut it down, and that's exactly what they did to eliminate Philadelphia just about a week ago. So
I will say Philly had some really good chances that they didn't convert. So if Inter Miami gets even half of those, I really hope Messi and Allende are able to finish off those chances.
Guys, I just want everyone to know that he's talking about his Barbie playhouse, not his actual house that he's
Thank you. Yes. I do have a very authentic Barbie playhouse in my house.
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining my reputation online, Scotty.
Okay. Is there anything else about this game? Because I think there are some esoteric conversations that we should have.
I'm so ready, man. I just want this game to start already. Also, I want to go to bed eventually, so please get the game started as soon as possible.
Not tonight, my friend. Not tonight. Inter Miami is about to play in 20 minutes for the Eastern Conference Final, a trip to the MLS Cup on the line. This is the game we thought we would be in last year. This is the game we knew we would be in since the day Messi announced he was coming to Inter Miami. This is almost what it's all been about. You and I think about this team more than healthy individuals should. And we spend a lot of time talking about it. And we have had complaints, and we've had celebrations, and we've had incredible moments, and we've had incredibly frustrating moments. But this is what it was all about to get here. And the team building and the hard work and the decisions about who should be playing or not, it was to get here. And so I do want to take a few minutes just to appreciate that Inter Miami is in this situation right now and has a chance to go to the MLS Cup. And that is pretty cool.
Yeah, just sit and reflect for 30 seconds because these moments don't come nearly enough as people think they do. This is a big moment for Inter Miami as a club. We sometimes take it for granted how easy it is to win games, and the MLS is not that way. Some teams who may win the MLS Cup one year finish bottom of the league the next year. So be happy with where your team is. I think we're in a very good place as a fan base about what we think about this team right now, at least. So whatever happens in this game, just remember this feeling that it's an important achievement this season, that we've had a good run of games, a good performance in the playoffs. And hopefully we're going to move past this and go into the next game and play for that championship game. But all things aside, at this point in time, I'm very proud to call myself an Inter Miami fan, and just the way we've played so far in this playoffs entirely. So it's good, man. It's good. Let's go out and prove it again why Inter Miami is the best club in the MLS, and then again next season.
No, I think you nailed it. These don't come around as often as you think they will. And you know, as a fan, you want your team to be great, but it's so easy to celebrate the good moments for a short, brief period, and to get frustrated and bogged down in the tough moments for long periods of time. So I do hope everyone, regardless of if someone has a bad performance tonight or whatever, if Inter Miami can win by hook or by crook, like what they have done is special for a sports fan, and I hope everyone doesn't just appreciate it for the hour that we're going to do the raw reaction after, but for, for as long as we can. Because I do think that's pretty cool.
Yep. This is a cool place to be in.
That's the Inter Miami fans. What do you think the Inter Miami players are right now?
They're gunning for it, man. They're gunning for it. They recognize that this is a special opportunity for this squad because you're never going to see Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets play again after this season. They recognize that this is a special moment. They've built something together over the last few months. And the only way to vindicate this season, the only way to validate everything that's happened over the last 2 years is to win that trophy. It doesn't matter if you reach the conference finals. It doesn't matter if you win the conference finals. Ultimately, what will matter is if you are able to put that star above your chest. And for them, the game's not over. Job's not done. They still have to play this 90 minutes, win this game. They have to play another 90 minutes, win that game. So I think they're going to be locked in. They're going to be concentrated. One thing that for me has stood out with this Inter Miami team of the last 4 or 5 games is they look like they're locked in and concentrated. And if that's the mindset they go into tonight, I think we're going to be in a good place as a team.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. They are on a mission, it feels like. And it's so easy or simple or maybe even lazy to say that, because if you play really well and lose, then we're all going to talk about how it's, a frustrating, disappointing ending and how they should have done this, or blame this guy for missing a shot or this guy for missing a tackle or whatever. But they do feel locked in. And when this team is locked in and they have the right 11 on the field, they are very difficult to beat. I will remind everyone they have not played this style of team in a long time, the way that I think New York is being set up. And so it is going to be, I think, difficult unless they make it easy for themselves by scoring early. And so first goal could be everything if Inter Miami can get it. Anything else about this game before we get to circle the lineup?
I think it's going to be more about character than talent. And Inter Miami needs to show more character tonight. They're going to be put into a difficult position by NYCFC, whether it's by the physicality that NYC brings, whether it's by offering something new that Inter Miami hasn't seen over the last few games. It's going to be about the mentality and the mindset more so than the talent and the brilliance that Messi brings to the table every time. And I think this game will show me what the mindset of this team is truly like. And yes, we've spoken about, they looked in and all of that. But when you get taken to deep waters and if you come out well, that's what matters the most. So I hope if they do get taken to deep waters by NYCFC, they're ready to swim and sink the NYC ship. And if they don't get taken to deep waters, then we're winning this 5-0, aren't we?
It does feel like NYCFC's path is to win this 1-0, 1-1 in extra time, penalties. And Inter Miami could win it that way, but maybe they could also win it 4-0 if things go their way. Speaking of which, I should just tell everyone, remind everyone, if this game is tied after 90 minutes, they will go to 2 15-minute extra time periods before penalties. It will not go straight to penalties. So look forward to that. I do think, and I've talked about this with a number of people over the course of this week, Matt Freese is a better goalkeeper in penalty situations than Rocco, certainly. Although, we saw Rocco against Club America in the preseason. Certainly Matt Freese's advantage, but the Inter Miami players that will be on the field at that point in time, I think you're talking about Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, guys that I think have been there, done it, and will be okay in terms of making their penalties. So I think it's kind of a wash, even if the goalkeeping advantage goes to NYCFC. Okay. It's time for Circle the Lineup. Guys, if you haven't seen our pregame show before every game, we talk about both 11s, how we think this game will play out, and then we pick one player or part of the pitch that we are nervous about for this game. And Saur, because I'm a gentleman, I will let you go first. Who you got?
Rodrigo de Paul, number 7. I think he's going to be key. Let's start defensively. NYC is probably going to try and catch us on the break and transitions. And RDP is going to have to do a lot of running behind to cover up, because Inter Miami is going to have the ball, they're going to be high up, and they're going to try and score. And NYC is going to probably bunker down in the middle and then catch us on the break when there's nobody behind. So defensively, RDP becomes very important. Offensively, we saw exactly what he can do by putting in those line-breaking passes and completely changing the nature of Inter Miami's attack in that game against Cincinnati. Tonight, when you face a low block, which we expect Inter Miami to, I think RDP becomes very important in switching the ball out quickly and being that facilitator who can pass the ball into those spaces and can find the right key to unlock this NYC defense. I think once Messi gets the ball, it's easy, but it's getting the ball to Messi in dangerous positions that's going to be hard, and RDP is going to be responsible for that. So bring me him. I think he's going to be good tonight, but I'm a little nervous about him.
Is this the biggest game in Inter Miami history?
Yeah, absolutely.
In this moment, it certainly is. I want this game on one person's shoulders, and that's number 10. So I'm taking Lionel Messi, not because I don't think he's going to do it, not because I don't think he can do it, because of course he can, and I think he will. He's going to get an opportunity in the box in the first 20 minutes of this game, and if he hits it, I think Inter Miami could run away with this game. And if he doesn't, we could be in for a long game, a tough game, and a battle. I'm not nervous about Messi over the course of 90 minutes. I'm nervous about, can he make that one moment early in this game that will make this game easy. He had it last week with the headed goal, and Inter Miami took that advantage. And I don't think Cincinnati ever got their head back in the game to be able to be competitive, and Inter Miami ran away with it in the second half. I have said all along Inter Miami is going to need 2+ goal contributions from Lionel Messi if they want to win playoff games. I think that's the case again tonight. I think he's going to get 3 goal contributions, including a brace. But for me, it's whether he can make that early play happen that will make this game easy or not. That's what I'm nervous about. So give me Messi as my circle of the lineup. And then one last thing, Saur. Who's going to win this game and why?
New York's going to get an early goal. Inter Miami's going to score in the 70th minute by a Messi screamer. It's going to go 1-1 to 90 minutes, and then we're going to go into extra time to Lasco Segovia with the winner in extra time. Inter Miami wins it by the skin of their teeth. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. It's going to be a difficult game, but we're going to come out on top. And this is going to be one of those games where we may not be happy with the way Inter Miami played, but we're going to be ecstatic by the result. So 2-1 Inter Miami in the extra time period. That being said, I think we're winning 4-0.
I think Messi's going to hit it early. I think we go up 1-0 in the first 15 minutes, and I think Inter Miami wins this game 4-1, 5-1. Maybe even nothing. Actually, nothing, because Rocco is a clean sheet monster. 4-0 Inter Miami, and they'll be on their way to the MLS Cup. I think NYCFC is playing this way with this lineup because they're a little nervous, and if you can get the winner early, like I think they might crumble. And then when they do come out, I think Inter Miami will just crush them in transition with tons of space in behind. I don't think they will go for 6, 7, 8 to 1 million goals. And I did think about going 1-0
Yeah, sure.
I think they'll be comfortable with like 3 or 4 goal lead and then see out the game comfortably. But I think Inter Miami, I think they have this. I really do. I think they have this. And I'm just saying that because I feel invincible right now, but I feel really good about this game. Guys, we'll see you for the raw reaction as soon as this game is over. But until then, and from second one until you can't anymore, enjoy the experience. And we'll see you guys immediately after. Don't burn the popcorn. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.